The bandage on her cheekbone should have been just another detail, Kang Min-jae ignored. Another invisible mark on an invisible woman who cleaned his penthouse twice a week. But when Amara Johnson's hand flew instinctively to cover the purple-black bruises blooming across her jaw like storm clouds, something primal and protective roared to life inside him. He'd killed men for less than the fear he saw flickering in her dark eyes. "Who touched you?" His voice was deadly calm, the same tone he used before ordering hits. Amara's fingers trembled against the fresh gauze covering her left cheekbone. Fingerprint-shaped marks circled her right wrist, dark against her brown skin. "Nobody, Mr. Kang. I just a cabinet door, I'm clumsy." Min-jae stepped closer. She instinctively stepped back. That small movement, that reflexive retreat, ignited something in him that had nothing to do with the empire he'd built through blood and calculated violence. For the first time in 15 years of controlling LA's underworld, Kang Min-jae felt completely out of control. "Don't insult my intelligence," he said softly. "Who hurt you?" Amara had cleaned Min-jae's Century City penthouse for 8 months without truly seeing him. He was a presence, expensive tailored suits, silent footsteps, the scent of sandalwood and danger that lingered in rooms after he left. She knew the important things. He paid double the agency rate. Never left messes. Expected invisibility. Invisibility was Amara's specialty. 28 years of being overlooked had taught her how to move through spaces without disturbing the air. She folded herself smaller in elevators, quieted her breathing around important people, perfected the art of being present without being seen. Today, that careful invisibility shattered. The penthouse had been silent when she arrived at 2 p.m., her usual time. Min-jae was never home during her shifts, a small mercy she'd counted on today. She'd covered the bruises as best she could. Drugstore foundation 3 shades too light, a bandage to hide the worst of the swelling. Her supervisor at Elite Home Services would fire her if she showed up looking unpresentable. Zara needed new shoes. Rent was due in 8 days, so Amara went to work. She was vacuuming the living room, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown LA like a kingdom spread beneath when she heard the elevator chime. Her heart lurched. He was never home at 3 p.m. "Sit." It wasn't a request. Kang Min-jae didn't make requests. Amara perched on the edge of his pristine white sofa. Wrong in every way: her discount uniform, her second-hand shoes, her damaged face in his perfect space. Min-jae stood before her, hands in pockets, studying her with an intensity that made her skin warm. "Tell me his name." "There's no name." "I told you I've built my life on reading people, Amara." The way he said her name, careful, like something precious, stopped her breath. He'd never used her name before. "You're terrified. That bandage is fresh. Someone hurt you. Recently." She stood abruptly. "With respect, Mr. Kang, my personal life isn't your concern. It became my concern the moment you walked into my home injured. Why do you care?" Her voice cracked. "I'm just your maid." Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Maybe hurt. "You think that's all you are? Isn't it?" Min-jae's revelation. "You've never been invisible." Min-jae was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes never leaving hers. "I notice everything in my space, Amara. 8 months ago, you started bringing cheap sunflowers every Tuesday. You arrange them in my kitchen when you think I won't see." Her throat tightened. She'd thought herself invisible. "You reorganize my books by color when you're stressed, even though I arrange them alphabetically. You leave my bedroom window open exactly 3 inches because you figured out I like fresh air but hate drafts." He stepped closer. "You hum when you work. Old Motown songs. Ain't no mountain high enough when you think no one's listening. You have a daughter 7 years old. Zara. She draws pictures of hearts and stethoscopes because she wants to be a doctor." Amara couldn't breathe. "You are not invisible to me, Amara. You never have been." Her phone buzzed. Zara's school. She grabbed her cleaning caddy, desperate to escape the weight of his attention. "I have to go." His hand caught her wrist, the unmarked one, gentle but firm. "You work in my space, under my protection." His jaw tightened, voice dropping to something dangerous and absolute. "That protection is not optional." Amara pulled free and fled to the elevator, but she felt his eyes on her the entire descent, heavy, searching, impossibly dangerous. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She lay in her narrow bed in their cramped Inglewood apartment, touching the bandage on her face and wondering what it meant that Kang Min-jae had looked at her like she mattered. 3 days passed, like held breath. When Thursday came her next scheduled shift, Amara considered calling in sick. But Elite Home Services had a strict policy. 2 missed shifts meant termination. Zara's shoes couldn't wait for principals or fear. She arrived at 2 p.m., half expecting security to turn her away. Instead, she found Min-jae sitting at his dining table, paperwork abandoned, waiting. "You came." He sounded relieved. "It's my job. Sit with me, Mr. Kang." Min-jae. He gestured to the chair beside him, voice softening. "Please." The please unraveled her. Amara set down her cleaning supplies and sat, maintaining careful distance. Min-jae pushed a cup of tea toward her, expensive, fragrant, steaming. "I don't want tea. I want to work and leave." "You're shaking." She was. She clasped her hands together, trying to still them. Min-jae leaned back, studying her with that unnerving focus. "I won't ask again who hurt you. But I need to know, is your daughter safe?" Amara's head snapped up. "Don't bring Zara into this. If someone's threatening you, they're threatening her." The truth of it hit like a fist. Marcus had mentioned Zara. That little girl deserves a father who can provide better than you. Her silence was answer enough. "His name is Marcus." The words tumbled out before Amara could stop them, each one feeling like betrayal and relief. "My ex, Zara's father." Min-jae's expression didn't change, but his hands resting on the table curled slowly into fists. "He showed up drunk 4 nights ago, wanted money. Said he knows I work for rich people now." She swallowed hard. "He said if I don't help him, he'll take Zara somewhere I'll never find her. And the Bruises, he got angry when I said no." Amara's voice dropped to a whisper. "He's never hit me in front of her before. That's the only line he hadn't crossed. Until now." Min-jae stood abruptly, walking to the floor to ceiling windows, hands in pockets. For a long moment, he said nothing, just stared at the element, city sprawling beneath like a chessboard. When he finally spoke, his voice was arctic. "Where does he live?" "No." Amara stood. "I know what you're thinking. The answer is no." He turned, and the look on his face made her breath catch, not anger, but something far more dangerous. Certainty. "You work in my space, under my protection," he said quietly. "I told you that protection is not optional. You don't get to claim my life like territory. I'm not claiming your life." He stepped closer, and she smelled sandalwood and smoke. "I'm protecting it. There's a difference." "Is there?" She grabbed her bag. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you want to own me." "I want you safe." His jaw tightened. "Those are not the same thing." Amara headed for the elevator. Min-jae's voice followed her, soft and absolute. His full name. "Give it to me, or I'll find it myself. Your choice is whether you trust me with the details or force me to dig." She stopped, hand hovering over the teen. Elevator button. "Marcus Williams. He lives in a halfway house on Crenshaw." She turned, meeting his eyes. "But if you hurt him, if you do anything that brings police or CPS to my door, I will never forgive you." "Understood. I mean it, Min-jae." The sound of his name on her lips made something flicker in his expression. Surprise, warmth, hunger. "I won't let him touch you again, Amara. That's a promise." After she left, Min-jae stood alone in his penthouse, the city lights glittering like scattered diamonds below. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number he hadn't used in months. Young-nim, his second-in-command, answered on the first ring. "I need information. Marcus Williams. Crenshaw halfway house." Min-jae's voice was cold, clinical. "I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he talks to, every debt he owes." And then, Min-jae was quiet, weighing his next words carefully. Not murder that would bring exactly the kind of attention Amara feared, but fear? Fear he could deliver. Make him understand that Amara Johnson and her daughter are untouchable. Be creative, be thorough, but keep it clean. How clean? No hospitals, no police reports. Just make sure he never forgets the conversation. He ended the call and stood at the window, watching the city that had made him a king. For the first time in 15 years, Kang Min-jae wondered if his empire was enough, or if the only thing worth protecting was a woman who hummed Motown songs and brought sunflowers to a penthouse that had never felt like home until she walked into it. 6 days passed, and Marcus Williams vanished like smoke. Amara waited for him to show up drunk at her door, to send threatening texts, to lurk outside Zara's school. But her phone stayed silent. The apartment buzzer never rang. Even the parking lot felt emptier, like a held breath finally released. She knew Min-jae had done something, but she didn't ask, and he didn't tell. Thursday came. She returned to the penthouse, expecting confrontation or questions. Instead, she found flowers. Not the cheap bodega sunflowers, she brought real ones. Expensive. Arranged in a crystal vase on the kitchen counter with a note in precise handwriting. These are the ones you deserve. Amara's hands trembled as she touched the petals. She cleaned the penthouse in silence, hyper-aware of every sound, but Min-jae never appeared. Just the flowers, the note, and the unsettling realization that Marcus's absence felt like a gift wrapped in violence. When she left, another note waited by the elevator. Dinner. Saturday, 6 p.m. Bring Zara. I'll send a car. Amara should have said no. Should have recognized the boundary dissolving between employer and something far more dangerous. Should have protected Zara from a world built on blood and shadows. But Saturday came, and she found herself dressing her daughter in the nicest clothes they owned, a yellow sundress from Target, carefully ironed. Where are we going, Mama? Zara bounced on, the balls of her feet, pigtails swinging. Dinner with a friend. The one who makes you smile different? Amara's breath caught. What? You smile different now. Like Grandma's pictures from before she got sad. The black car arrived at 5:45 p.m. Sleek, expensive, driven by a quiet man who opened doors and said nothing. Koreatown at dusk was a symphony of neon and languages, smells of grilling meat and fermented vegetables. The car stopped at a restaurant with no English signage, just elegant Korean characters in gold. Inside, Min-jae waited in a private room, no suit today, just dark jeans and a soft sweater that made him look younger, almost gentle. His eyes found Amara first, then dropped to Zara with an expression she'd never seen on him. Nervousness. You must be Zara. Her daughter, usually shy around strangers, studied him with the seriousness of a scientist examining a specimen. You're Mr. Kang. Mama hums more after she sees you. Amara wanted the floor to swallow her, whole. But Min-jae smiled, a real smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Does she? What does she hum? Old songs. Grandma's songs. Zara tilted her head. Do you like music? I do. And I like your dress. Yellow is a happy color. It's the color of optimism and creativity, Zara announced proudly. I looked it up. Smart and scientific. Min-jae gestured to the table. Your mama tells me you want to be a doctor. Zara's face lit up. A pediatric surgeon. I'm going to fix kids' hearts. Then you'll need steady hands. He picked up chopsticks, holding them out. Want to learn? Surgeons have to be precise. Amara sat frozen, watching Kang Min-jae, the man who ruled LA's underworld through fear, patiently teach her 7-year-old daughter to hold chopsticks. Like this, see? Gentle pressure. The bottom one stays still. Zara fumbled, giggling when a piece of bulgogi slipped. Min-jae caught it midair with his own chopsticks, and her daughter dissolved into laughter real, unguarded joy Amara hadn't heard in months. You're fast. My grandmother trained me. She said clumsy hands make clumsy hearts. Min-jae's voice softened with memory. She used to tell me stories about tigers and scholars while we ate. Do you like stories? I love stories. He told one, then a Korean folktale about a tiger who learned gentleness from a child, his voice a low, soothing rumble. Zara hung on every word, chopsticks forgotten. Amara felt something crack open in her chest. This wasn't seduction. This was family courtship, terrifying and intoxicating. When Zara excused herself to the restroom, Min-jae's mask slipped back into place. He looked at Amara with raw honesty. She's extraordinary. She's everything. Amara's voice shook. Which is why this, she gestured between them, scares me. I know. You make me want to be different outside. The night air was cool. Zara slept in the backseat of the car, exhausted from laughter and stories. Min-jae walked Amara to the door, hands in pockets, careful not to touch. Thank you, she whispered. For tonight. For Marcus. You don't have to thank me for basic decency. Your world isn't built on decency. He flinched. No, it's built on blood and lies and survival. His eyes found hers in the dim light. But you and Zara, you're the only real thing in it. Amara's heart hammered. Min-jae, you make me want mornings that aren't about territory wars or debt collection. His voice dropped, vulnerable. You make me want to be someone your daughter could respect. Someone who deserves the way you hum in my kitchen like it's home. This can't work. The words hurt coming out. We're too different. Your world will swallow mine. Then let me prove you wrong. He stepped closer, not touching. Just there, solid and certain. Let me show you that I can be more than what I've been. Amara looked at Zara sleeping peacefully in the car, then back at the man who'd made her daughter laugh for the first Time since Marcus's last visit. I don't know how, she admitted. We'll figure it out. Together. She drove away with her heart racing, terrified and hopeful, aware she was falling for a man who could destroy or save her, and she no longer knew which frightened her more. For 8 days, Amara lived in a fragile bubble of almost happiness. Marcus stayed gone. Min-jae texted good morning and good night, nothing invasive. Just thinking of you and how Zara. She caught herself smiling at her phone like a teenager, and Zara noticed everything. Is Mr. Kang your boyfriend? It's complicated, baby. That's what adults say when the answer is yes, but they're scared. Out of the mouths of babes. Thursday came. Amara arrived at the penthouse to find Min-jae cooking, actually cooking something that smelled like ginger and garlic and home. You cook? My grandmother insisted. He didn't look up from the stove, but she heard the smile in his voice. She said a man who can't feed himself is half alive. What are you making? Kimchi jjigae, comfort food. He finally turned, and the softness in his expression made her chest tight. Stay. Eat with me. She should have said no. Should have maintained boundaries. She stayed. They ate at his dining table, the city glittering below, and talked about small things: Zara's science project, his grandmother's garden in Seoul, the way LA smelled different after rain. For 2 hours, Kang Min-jae wasn't a crime lord, and Amara wasn't a struggling single mother. They were just two people learning each other's languages. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. Hello? Miss Johnson? This is Detective Sarah Chen, LAPD. I need to ask you some questions about Marcus Williams. The world tilted. Amara stepped into the hallway, hand shaking. What about Marcus? He filed a harassment complaint 3 days ago. Claims you sent criminals to threaten him. The detective's voice was professional, detached. He's provided some concerning details about your associations. My associations? Amara's voice rose. He's my abusive ex. He threatened to kidnap my daughter. Did you file a police report about these threats? Silence. Because of course she hadn't. Black single mothers, who called the police, often lost more than they gained. Miss Johnson, I'm not accusing you of anything. But given Mr. Williams's claims and some irregularities we've found, Child Protective Services may need to conduct a home visit. Standard procedure when there are allegations involving a minor's safety. The words hit like a physical blow. CPS. Home visit. Minor's safety. My daughter is safe. Marcus is the threat. I understand this is difficult. Someone from CPS will contact you within 48 hours. In the meantime, I'd advise you to distance yourself from any individuals with criminal records or... Amara ended the call, legs shaking so badly she had to lean against the wall. When she returned to the penthouse, Min-jae took one look at her face and stood. What happened? What did you do to him? His expression shuddered. I made sure he understood. You're protected. Protected? Her voice cracked. The police just called. Marcus filed a harassment complaint, and now CPS might investigate me. They might take Zara. Min-jae's face went pale. I was careful. No one should have... Careful? She was shaking now, rage and terror mixing into something combustible. You think your careful is the same as mine? You live in a world where you can make problems disappear with money and violence. I live in a world where one wrong move means I lose my daughter. Amara, I can fix this. Fix it. She grabbed her bag, vision blurring with tears. You can't fix systemic racism with bribes. You can't fix the fact that I'm a black single mother who'll be guilty until proven innocent. You can't fix that your protection just painted a target on my back. I was trying to keep you safe. I never asked you to save me like this. The words ripped out of her. I never asked you to send your people after Marcus. I never asked you to play hero in a situation you don't understand. Min-jae stepped toward her, hands raised. Then tell me what you need. I'll do it. Lawyers, witnesses. I can make the complaint disappear. That's the problem. She was crying now, hot, angry tears. You think you can bend the law and there's no price. You think your money and power solve everything. But my daughter is not collateral damage in your world. She's not collateral, she's everything. You're both... His voice broke. You're everything to me. Amara's heart shattered. I love you, she whispered. God help me, I love you. But I can't be the reason Zara grows up without her mother. I can't risk her safety for this for us. So what are you saying? I need time, space. I need to figure out how to protect my daughter from the mess your protection created. Min-jae looked like she'd struck him. How much? Time? I don't know. She stepped into the elevator, tears streaming. Maybe forever. Amara, wait. But the elevator doors closed on his devastated expression, and Amara collapsed against the wall, sobbing. She'd fallen in love with a man whose world was poison to hers, whose protection was a weapon, whose love might cost her everything that mattered. Min-jae stood alone in his penthouse, the half-eaten dinner growing cold, and felt his carefully constructed control shatter. He'd built an empire on reading people, on calculated moves, on never showing weakness. But he hadn't calculated for this, that loving Amara Johnson would mean respecting her choice to walk away. He pulled out his phone, typed, and deleted a dozen messages, finally settling on, "If time is what you need, I'll give it, but I won't stop protecting you, even from a distance." He didn't expect a response. He didn't get one. 4 days felt like 4 years. Amara went through the motions, working her other houses, cooking meals Zara barely touched, smiling mechanically at parent-teacher conferences. The CPS caseworker came, a tired woman with kind eyes who asked gentle questions and inspected their tiny apartment. "Everything looks fine, Miss Johnson. Mr. Williams's complaint appears to be retaliatory. We'll close the case." Relief should have flooded her. Instead, she felt hollow. Zara asked every day, "Why don't we see Mr. Kang anymore?" "We just can't right now, baby. But you don't smile anymore. Not the real way." Her daughter's eyes were too knowing. "You look like Grandma's pictures again, the sad ones." Amara had no answer. Across the city, Kang Min-jae wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating, wasn't functioning beyond the bare minimum required to keep his empire from noticing their king was bleeding out. His second-in-command finally confronted him on day 3. "Youngnim, you're losing your edge. The West Side crew is asking questions. You need to handle it." Min-jae's voice was dead. "I don't care how. You always care how. Not anymore." He stood at his penthouse windows every night, staring at the city, wondering if Amara was looking at the same stars, wondering if she hummed anymore, wondering if he'd destroyed the only real thing he'd ever wanted by trying too hard to protect it. On the 4th night, he broke. The text went out at 1:47 a.m. "I miss you. Tell me how to fix this." Amara stared at her phone in the darkness, Zara sleeping beside her. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, typing and deleting responses. "I miss you too. I don't know if you can. I'm scared." Before she could send anything, a knock echoed through the apartment, soft, hesitant, completely wrong for 2A. She checked the peephole and her heart stopped. Min-jae stood in her hallway, and he looked wrecked. No suit, just jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt. Hair disheveled, dark circles under his eyes, hands shaking. She opened the door. "What are you doing here?" "I couldn't," his voice cracked. "I can't do this anymore. The distance, the silence. I can't." "Min-jae, it's 2 in the morning. Zara's sleeping. I know. I'm sorry. He ran a hand through his hair, looking lost. "I needed to see you. To tell you." "Tell me what?" "That you're my weakness." The words tumbled out raw and desperate. "In my world, weakness gets you killed. Everyone knows it. Show vulnerability and someone will use it to destroy you." Amara's throat tightened. "But I'd rather die loving you than live safely without you." His eyes were bright, almost feverish. "I'd rather burn my entire empire down than spend another day knowing you're out there, scared and alone, thinking I don't understand what I cost you. You don't understand. Then teach me." He stepped closer, not touching, just pleading. "Tell me what you need. I'll leave the criminal world. I'll move to another city. I'll become whoever you need me to be. Just don't ask me to stop loving you. That's the one thing I can't do." Amara felt tears spill over. "I'm terrified of you." He flinched like she'd slapped him. "Not because you're violent," she continued, voice shaking. "Because you make me want things I can't afford to want. Because when you look at Zara like she's precious, I forget all the reasons this is impossible. Because I love you so much it physically hurts. And that kind of love is dangerous for someone like me." "Someone like you?" "A black single mother with no safety net. One wrong move and I lose everything: my daughter, my housing, my future. Your world operates on different rules. You can make mistakes and buy your way out. I can't. So teach me your rules." Min-jae's voice was fierce. "Show me how to exist in your world instead of dragging you into mine. I'll go to therapy. I'll transition to legitimate business slowly, carefully, so it doesn't bring more heat. I'll meet your family, your friends, anyone who needs to vet me. I'll prove I can be safe for you. And if you can't, if your past catches up, then I'll disappear from your life before it touches you or Zara. I swear it. Amara searched his face, seeing desperation and sincerity and love so fierce it terrified her. I need boundaries, she whispered. Real ones. No more vigilante justice. No more fixing my problems with violence or money. If something happens, we handle it legally, together. Done. And therapy, for both of us, to figure out how to bridge our worlds without destroying each other. I'll find someone tomorrow. And slow, we go slow. Zara's heart is involved now, and if this falls apart, it won't. He finally touched her, fingers gentle on her cheek. I won't let it. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I can be the man you both deserve. Amara leaned into his palm, exhausted and hopeful. This is crazy. Completely. He smiled, fragile and real. But I've never wanted anything more. A small voice came from the bedroom doorway. Mr. Kang? They both turned. Zara stood there, in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Hey, little one. Min-jae's voice gentled instantly. I'm sorry we woke you. Are you staying this time? Her question was simple, devastating. Min-jae looked at Amara. She nodded, barely perceptible. He knelt to Zara's level. I'm not going anywhere, ever. If your mama will let me, I'm going to be here for breakfast and dinner and boring Tuesdays and every moment in between. Is that okay with you? Zara studied him with her scientist's seriousness, then nodded. Okay, but you have to learn to make pancakes. Mama burns them. Deal. She padded back to bed, satisfied. Amara and Min-jae stood in the tiny apartment, the city humming outside, and began the terrifying, beautiful work of building something real. The penthouse smelled like Sunday morning coffee brewing, bacon sizzling, and the particular chaos that came with a 10-year-old who'd discovered she could make French toast. Mama! The egg mixture needs more cinnamon! Zara called from the kitchen. Standing on the step stool Min-jae had custom made after she'd complained about being vertically challenged. Amara emerged from the bedroom, one of Min-jae's shirts hanging loose over her leggings, and smiled at the sight. Her daughter covered in flour, Min-jae beside her with a dish towel over his shoulder, patiently showing her how to flip bread without splattering. More cinnamon means it burns faster, he explained, voice still rough with sleep. It's about balance. Everything's about balance with you. Zara rolled her eyes with the dramatic flair of a preteen. You sound like my therapist. Your therapist is a smart woman. She says I have exceptional emotional intelligence for my age. Zara made air quotes, grinning. I told her it's because I have two parents who actually talk about their feelings now instead of being weird and sad. Amara caught Min-jae's eye across the kitchen. He smiled, the real one. The one that still made her heart skip, and mouthed, We did good. The penthouse had changed. Children's artwork covered the previously bare refrigerator, Zara's drawings of cells and hearts alongside her attempts at Korean calligraphy. Amara's sunflowers still appeared every Tuesday, but now in expensive vases Min-jae pretended not to buy. The minimalist aesthetic had softened. Throw blankets in warm colors, family photos on the mantle, a bookshelf that mixed Korean literature with Zara's science texts, and Amara's collection of Toni Morrison novels. The space had become a home. Min-jae had kept his promises, all of them. Therapy every week, sometimes together, sometimes alone, working through trauma and control issues, and the complicated dance of blending worlds. The transition from criminal empire to legitimate business had taken 2 years of careful maneuvering, selling off illegal operations, investing in real estate and tech startups, building something clean. Some of his old crew had been angry. A few had been dangerous about it. But Min-jae had been more dangerous, and more importantly, he'd been certain. I'm building a different legacy, he'd told them. One my family can be proud of. Amara stood at the window, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up. Her phone buzzed a text from her business partner confirming their afternoon meeting. Second Chance's Cleaning Co. had started small. Just Amara and 2 other women, all single mothers, all trying to claw their way to stability. Min-jae had offered to fund it, but she'd refused. I need to build this myself. So he'd connected her with a business mentor instead, helped her navigate licensing and insurance, stayed quiet while she figured out her own path. 3 years later, Second Chances employed 23 women formerly incarcerated, escaping domestic violence, rebuilding after addiction. Amara trained them, paid living wages, offered childcare stipends and health insurance. The business was profitable, growing. Hers. She'd never felt more powerful than the day she'd hired her first employee, never felt more seen than when those women looked at her and saw possibility. "Mama!" Zara's shriek cut through the morning calm. "Mama, it came!" She burst into the living room, waving an envelope like a flag. Amara's heart leapt. She knew that logo, that return address. "Open it," Minjae said quietly, appearing behind Zara with his phone ready to record. Zara's hands shook as she tore the envelope. Her eyes scanned the letter once, twice, then filled with tears. "I got in," she whispered. "UCLA pre-med. Early acceptance." Amara couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, just pulled her daughter into her arms and held on while they both cried. Minjae wrapped around them both, his voice thick. "Dr. Johnson. Has a nice ring to it. I haven't even started undergrad yet." Zara laughed through tears. "Doesn't matter. You're going to change the world, little one. I've known it since the day you told me about fixing hearts." By 4 p.m., the penthouse was controlled. Chaos. Minjae's aunt and uncle had flown in from Seoul, bringing homemade kimchi and gochujang. Amara's grandmother, Nana June, held court in the living room, telling stories about Louisiana that had Minjae's relatives laughing despite the language barrier. Amara's business partner, Maria, and her 3 kids ran circles around the furniture. Young-soo, Minjae's second-in-command turned legitimate COO, argued good-naturedly with Nana June about whose collard greens recipe was superior. The dining table was a cultural collision. Bulgogi beside fried chicken, kimchi next to mac and cheese, sweet tea and soju, white rice and cornbread. Zara moved between languages and relatives with ease, translating for Nana June, teaching Minjae's aunt how to say delicious in English, explaining her UCLA acceptance to anyone who'd listen. Amara stood in the kitchen doorway, watching, and felt Minjae's arms circle her waist from behind. "You okay?" he murmured against her hair. "I'm perfect." She leaned, back into him. "I'm watching our daughter celebrate with our family in our home. How could I be anything but perfect? Our family," he repeated, testing the words. "I like the sound of that. Me too." Later, after everyone had left and Zara had fallen asleep on the couch mid-movie, Amara and Minjae stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city glittering below like scattered stars. "Do you remember the first time you stood here?" Minjae asked. "I was terrified, trying to be invisible." "You were never invisible to me." She smiled. "I know that now. Do you ever regret it? Letting me in?" Amara turned to face him, cupping his jaw. 3 years had softened some of his edges, therapy and love, and Zara's influence turning the crime lord into something gentler, though no less fierce when it mattered. "I regret the fear," she said honestly. "The nights I couldn't sleep wondering if your past would destroy our future. The times I almost walked away because I was too scared to believe this could work. But I don't regret you, us, this life we built." She kissed him softly. "You kept every promise. You became someone Zara respects, someone I trust completely. You proved me wrong about impossible things. We proved each other wrong." He pulled her closer. "You taught me that power isn't about control, it's about partnership. That real strength is vulnerability. That home isn't a place, it's people who see you completely and love you anyway. When did you get so wise?" "I have an excellent therapist. And an even better partner." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching their city, their daughter sleeping peacefully behind them, their blended family's laughter still echoing in the walls. "Amara?" Minjae's voice was nervous, a rarity that made her look up. He was holding a small box, and her heart stopped. "I know we said we'd wait, that we'd take things slow, make sure the foundation was solid." He opened the box, revealing a ring, simple, elegant, with a single diamond that caught the city lights. "But 3 years feels solid. Zara's thriving, your business is growing. I've built something legitimate. And I wake up every morning grateful that you gave me a chance to prove I could be worthy of you." Tears blurred her vision. "Marry me," he said simply. "Not because it changes anything, we're already family, but because I want the world to know that Amara Johnson chose me, that I get to spend the rest of my life making sure you never feel invisible again." "Yes." The word came out choked, joyful. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring on her finger, and she kissed him like a promise, like a future, like home. Behind them, Zara's sleepy voice. "Finally. I've been waiting forever for you to propose. Can I be the maid of honor?" They both laughed, pulling her into their embrace. The 3 of them tangled together in the penthouse that had transformed from a fortress into a home. 6 months later, Amara stood in a simple white dress in a garden overlooking the city, Zara beside her in lavender, Nana June crying happy tears in the front row. Min-jae waited at the altar in a tailored suit, eyes bright, surrounded by a family that spanned continents and cultures and impossible odds. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman?" Zara stepped forward with a grin. "She gives herself, but I approve." The crowd laughed. Min-jae's eyes never left Amara's. They spoke vows they'd written together, promises about partnership and patience, about bridging worlds and building new ones, about love that transforms. And when they kissed, the city sprawled beneath them like a kingdom not his anymore, but theirs. In the city that once made her invisible, Amara had never felt more seen, more loved, more home. She'd walked into a penthouse as a maid and walked out as a partner, a business owner, a wife, a mother to a daughter who would change the world. And Kang Min-jae, the man who'd built an empire on fear, had learned that the greatest power was the kind that came from being chosen, every day, by a woman who taught him that love wasn't about possession. It was about becoming someone worthy of being loved in return.